is we're going to look at who we think the head coaches that are on the hot seat in 2025 are gonna be.
Yeah. You remember last year when we thought for sure one coach was getting fired, and then somehow the dude. Oh God.
I think I mentioned it last week, or it might have been 2 weeks ago. I had 4 coaches that were for sure
I had the
getting
over.
fired.
I had the over under at 3.5. I had the over because I remember asking you
Yeah,
straight up. I was like, "What's the number? 3.5?" And you're like, "Eh." You're like, "Yeah, maybe, yeah." But then like nobody gets fired. Not a
yeah,
single
not
one.
a single person did.
But that means this year somebody getting cleaned.
There's
And
at
I got.
least one. So, do you want
Oh,
to go first?
are we doing this in order? Because I don't really have an order. I have
No, I don't.
three.
I don't have an order now.
Okay.
I've got a clear number one who I
All
think
right.
is getting fired this year.
Mm. Mm. I'm gonna let you go first since you're so sure on this guy. Let's hear it. I'm not that sure on anybody really.
Mark Stoops.
I mean,
Mark Stoops has nowhere to go
but I feel
at
like that should have
Kentucky.
happened last year, my boy. Like I don't know, man.
It should have, but look, all right. So he is consistently been what around the 6-6 mark.
In
Every
the
once in a
SEC,
while,
yeah, he's 500 in the SEC below.
yeah, every once in a while he'll get 8-4 and had a couple of 10-win seasons, but it's been a few years now since that's happened.
He's never been better than 6-2 in the SEC. He's so he's really a 3-5 in the SEC coach.
Yeah.
Period.
4-8 this past season, the first time that he has had a losing record since I believe his third year on the job or his second year. I don't have his stats pulled up, but Kentucky fans 2 seasons ago were ready to get rid of him after losing to Tennessee in Lexington with the Joe Milton led team. And this past season, there's a lot of Kentucky fans that are completely out on him. If if he has another year like he did last year, I think Kentucky has to fire him.
I get it. Now, I agree with that, so I'm gonna go with a different coach.
All right, go with it.
I'm gonna go straight for the jugular. You ready for this?
I think I know who you're gonna say.
Kalen DeBoer.
Oh, that is not who I thought you were gonna say.
Dude, the way they finished last year, if he doesn't make it to the playoff this year,
You might be right.
yeah, I think I'm right. I think I've heard from several folks in that department that says, man, if Kalen DeBoer doesn't find a way to get 10-2 and make it to the playoff, I mean, if he goes 9-3 or worse this year, because right now they're blaming it on Jalen Milroe, which I think is freaking stupid. Whatever. But he's got to find somebody because I don't follow Bama that hard or strong, but I know Ty Simpson's there because his father's UT Martin coach and whatnot, and he was kind of heavily involved in the Tennessee recruitment. But either way, I think they're banking on Ty Simpson being that dude. I just don't think he's that guy. So I'm very intrigued to see who wins that quarterback job and then how he does with the team. But Kalen DeBoer, in my opinion, if there's 2 years in a row in a 12-team playoff and Alabama's not even in it, there's no shot he's coming back for a third year.
So I've actually
and if
got
I'm wrong,
two tiers
comment please.
Of so I've actually got 2 tiers of the SEC firing. I've got I believe they are getting fired at the end of this season, and then
Fair.
I've got the tier of if this season goes bad, then next season they are getting fired.
But the way I'm looking at it is the way you have it titled: hot seat. Who's got the most pressure on them this year? And to me, that's Kalen DeBoer.
Okay, so I guess I could, if we had the time, we could go through and rank the pressure that each coach is under, and I could totally get behind that Kalen DeBoer arguably has the most pressure against him. So, but I would
his seat's kind of
it's pretty warm, but I still put him in that second tier of his seat is warm.
All right,
but I don't think he gets fired this year.
Then you assuming that Bama makes it to playoff, which is fine. But I'm saying if they don't, and I don't think they will, I think he's gone, man. That's just my thought. Who's your next coach?
Somebody that I thought you were gonna say with your first one. Brian Kelly.
Yeah, I knew.
Brian Kelly at LSU
Yeah.
has over 3 years has gone 20-7.
How's that
Grant,
locker room doing too, right? I mean, obviously RIP Kyron Lacey. But
yeah,
like, how do you think that kind of affects some of the folks in that room too? Because I mean, Kyron Lacey is one of your leaders, wide receivers. So you got obviously the struggles of very much underachieving, and now you're having to fight that kind of battle. But yeah, 100% LSU. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm sorry.
yeah. So in 3 seasons at LSU, obviously his first season went 10-4 and actually made the SEC title game.
Beat Bama.
Yeah, beat Bama. Um, you you did get curb stomped by Tennessee at home that year, but made the
40 to
SEC
13, baby.
Yeah, made the SEC title game because there was still divisions at the time. You were the best team in the West, even though you were the third best team or fourth best team overall in the SEC behind Georgia, Tennessee, and I think
Yeah,
somebody else.
Tennessee finished second in the conference that year, 100%.
Yeah,
But because of the East-West divisions, which is now gone, Tennessee could have been in today's world, right? Tennessee would have been that other team, and which I'm okay that they weren't. Honestly, it's fine. But
yeah. But yeah, went 10-4 that season, 10-3 in his second season, and then 9-4 this past year. Which any other school, like we'll take Kentucky for instance. If Brian Kelly was coaching at Kentucky and this was the record over his first 3 seasons, hey, Kentucky's fine with that. But this is LSU. LSU has higher standards, especially with what they are paying Brian Kelly at LSU, and he's just not living up to it. And I don't know how much longer LSU is going to be okay with it.
and not
So
doing a good against your rivals. I mean,
yes,
since they beat Alabama or whatnot, it's really not been the same. And them and Ole Miss has been like a freaking shootout every year since he's been there. It's been insane. It's kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, I agree with that pick 100%. Brian Kelly that's a good pick.
I think there's still one more obvious one.
There's another obvious one, but I don't know if I want to pick it yet. I'm gonna go Brent Venables.
That's a great pick.
Is that the obvious one? Because I don't think it's
No,
obvious. Okay,
no,
thank you.
there's still an obvious one out
But
there.
Brent Venables coming off a year, which it was probably Oklahoma's worst year, period. Like between SEC, or I'm gonna just call it conference play because they don't lose more than 2 conference games ever, but they learn pretty quick in the SEC. The expectations are a little bit different. So, but Oklahoma, they've got to figure something out on the offense, right? They completely botched, I think, the quarterback situation there last year because I think Arnold was that dude. I think he was just a true freshman trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or redshirt freshman. I can't remember. But either way, it was his first full season starting. I think he was a redshirt freshman. First full season starting, was trying to learn, and you're going up against Tennessee. Went to the playoff, but in my opinion, had a top 3 defense in the nation. And you bench him in that game because he made some terrible decisions in a game where he felt like he had to make plays. And I think they completely botched it. And I think in turn, not only did it ruin his career there at Oklahoma, but I think it hurt their entire season after that, trying to figure it out. And this year, I don't know who they're riding with, if it's going to be Hawkins or if they got somebody in the portal, but they're going to need to figure out that position. They're going to need to figure out the wide receiver position because, one, they were all hurt last year, and I think a couple of them ended up hitting the portal and getting the heck out of there. And so there's already some like negative attrition there. And so they got to figure it out, get on the right side of this thing, but their schedule doesn't get any easier. They're playing the exact same opponents for the most part, other than the non-con. It's just, like I said, and that's for every team because all they did was flip the home and aways, and then the order of when they play them. So Oklahoma's got to figure it out, and they've got to figure out how to get 8-4, 9-3, I think, for Brent to save his job. I think if he goes 7-5 or worse, Brent, in my opinion, bye-bye, Bubba.
Yeah, I've kind of got him on.
I know.
On the fence.
I'm picking the tier 2 guys apparently, but I feel like those 2 coaches, aside from what you've already chosen, I'm not trying to choose the same coaches you are. Those 2 coaches, in my opinion, have some really high pressure on them this year.
They do, and that's why I have Venables on the fence. There's one thing that is keeping me from putting him on the hot seat, and that's the fact that Oklahoma gave him an extension at the end of last season. So
I don't
obviously they can give him an extension last year and still fire him this year based upon
They gave him an extension because he beat Bama, bro. That's all it was.
Yeah, but I mean, you give him an extension, and a lot of times that means
A fire
that they.
next year.
Well, I
Bigger
mean,
buyout.
you've
In
given.
Tennessee's case, at least.
Oh well, yeah. In Tennessee's case, yes, but most of the time, if you get an extension, you've pretty much locked up 2 years.
I don't know. Auburn's
Now,
case.
yeah,
Extension, fire next year. It's very normal for somebody to get an extension and then get fired the very next year. I don't know. I'm
that's
not going to
fair.
hang my hat and say that he's there for the next 2 years because of the extension. Is all I'm
That's
saying.
fair. But that's the only thing keeping me from putting him on the surefire hot seat. I've got him. He's one of mine that's on the fence.
I got
But I will say this:
who's your,
he's got a chance to turn this around
he does
if he focuses on the defense and lets his offensive coordinator do his job the way that
get
he's
his hand
supposed
out of the
to.
bucket. Yeah.
Yes, Oklahoma can have success this year. They can go 8-4 or better, and he can turn things around in Oklahoma.
So you think he might be a little bit micromanaging the team, maybe?
That's exactly what it is. That's what the problem was this year. He was micromanaging both sides of the field instead of focusing on what he knows, which is defense, and letting his offensive coordinator do the job.
Right on. So who's your obvious? And I think I know who it is, but I want you to go ahead and name it.
The obvious is Billy Napier. They gave him one more year because you had DJ Lagway coming back this year. You have all this talent coming back. You looked really good towards the end of last year. People were questioning that, why are you extending Billy Napier for one more season? Why are you giving him another chance?
You just contradicted yourself is what you did. That's why I'm so like, if you're watching or if you're watching later, like that's why my face is what it was, because you absolutely just contradicted yourself.
But look, you gave yourself hope at the end of last season. And if you turn around this year and you completely crap the bed this season, Florida's another one of those programs like LSU. They're not going to stand for mediocrity.
I agree. Neither is Oklahoma. Neither is Alabama. Like,
I mean, fair.
I'm just look.
Look. Napier has to have success this season, otherwise he is gone.
I agree, but I think that is the exact same reason why I chose Kalen and Brent Venables. Like, if they don't have success, those programs aren't settling. They're not a South Carolina or Missouri, man. Those teams can go 7-5, and they're okay with it. They're not going to fire you for that. Oklahoma, you go 7-5 back-to-back years, dude, and you only went 7-5 last year because, I mean, I ain't taking away from that Bama. That was an absolute butt whooping, but like nobody counted on you beating Bama at that point in the year, and so you were staring at 6-6 in the face, and you somehow pulled it out, went to 7-5, and I don't know. I agree, Billy Napier's, but that is not the direction. That is not the direction I thought you were going.
All right. So what's the direction? Don't tell me you're going to go with old Colbert.
No. Jeff Lebby. Jeff Lebby, really, really bad year last year, and we kind of gave him some slack. Like, hey, Mississippi State's just down right now. Really has been for several years, but Jeff Lebby didn't really do anything to spark anything either. And I've not really heard anything in the offseason to say that that's going to change. So if he goes back-to-back years, would he go winless in the SEC?
Yeah.
If he does that again, man, he's out. There's no shot. Like, I'm sorry, but a team's not going to sit there and say, oh, you get 4 years to build your team if you're going 0-8 in the SEC. It's just not going to happen. I know it's Mississippi State, but even Mississippi State, I think, values himself, especially if they lose to Ole Miss. I mean, that's their Super Bowl, right? Like, you can't. I don't know. I just feel like Jeff Lebby's got a little bit of pressure. Any coach coming 0 off a season, winless, I just feel like there's an immense amount of pressure coming into the next year. And Jeff Lebby, in my opinion, is that guy.
You could be right. Now, I did not have him on my list, but
of course, you've not agreed with me on a single pick that I've had tonight. That's fine. It's fine. Screw you, Michael.
Hey, that's why we have lists, and that's why we don't. That's why we don't discuss things beforehand. We all have our opinions. So he wasn't on my list, but I credit that to the situation Mississippi State put themselves in with Zach Arnett, the one season that they brought him, or that they upgraded him from defensive coordinator to head coach. They put themselves behind the 8 ball. Now, I will give you this, that the way the NIL is now, the way everything is in college football, they absolutely are not going to stand for having a 4 or 5 year rebuild before having success.
Right.
You want to rebuild soon. So he could absolutely be on this list, but I think that he gets a third season no matter what happens this year. I could be totally wrong though. So you might be onto something there with Jeff Levy.
Could I add one?
Go for it.
I don't think he gets fired this year, but definitely underperformed considering expectations with the schedule that they had.
I know exactly who you're going with.
Eli Drinkwitz.
He is on my list of if he doesn't have success this year, the next season he's on that hot list. He's on that
Yeah,
second tier list.
But I'm saying like his seeds gets really hot if he goes even worse. Like if he goes, and I hate to say like 8-4, 7-5 with the schedule I think they had last year and will have this year.
Yep.
Like, dude, you should be 10-2. I mean, easily. And I think we were saying 10-2 on the worst side last year. Their like hardest opponent, I think, was who did they play? I don't know. Their schedule was so weak.
Texas A&M was their hardest opponent by
That's
far.
crazy. That's crazy work. Like to be able to manufacture that type of schedule with I mean, SEC's got 6 pretty freaking good teams, and Texas A&M, in my opinion, is not one of the 6. But they were right there on the fringe. I don't know. It's just you got to do better than that. And Missouri getting blown out. I think they played Alabama, didn't they?
Blown out by Alabama. Got shut out by Alabama.
They played Alabama. I'll give them that.
Nothing.
But Alabama and A&M are their two absolute. Those were the games. It's like, okay, we if we don't win, whatever, let's win the rest. And yeah, they got absolutely. I don't know. Drinkwitz coming off a 10-2 season. I think they ended up going 11-2, beating Ohio State, and then following that with the year they had last year, where he was not jokingly, saying that they have a shot at the playoff. No, you didn't. And then I don't know. I just feel like that he's an embarrassment to the team when he says some stuff like that and doesn't follow it up. And dude, if he doesn't do something this year, I'm not saying he's gone, but definitely some talks and articles will be coming about hot seat. So
yeah. So I've got
that's me stretching a little bit. So
I've got one more name that is fringe, could be hot, could be he bought another year after last year.
Josh Heupel.
Sam Pittman. Look, Sam Pittman, he turned it around a little bit after last year, but how much of that do you credit to
Van Buren?
Bobby Petrino?
Well, I was going to say they still got that,
offense.
and they still got that quarterback. So in my mind, they're going into year 2 with a really stud quarterback, and that's why I didn't really say Billy. I mean, Billy's got DJ Lagway. They're Jesus on the team, and
that's why I have Pittman on here, because him and Napier are very similar to me. That they showed promise last year, but if they just completely crap the bed this year, they're not going to get another season.
So, and I agree with that, but they've at least got their guy and they know how to build around it.
Yes.
The thing about my picks, majority of them, Alabama, they don't really know who's starting at quarterback.
That's fair.
Oklahoma, do they really know who's starting at quarterback?
Yeah, Oklahoma does. That freshman that took over.
Hawkins, I doubt it.
You don't think he is?
I doubt it. That's not the guy that's going to take them the way. I don't think so. And then I thought one more person. But either way, Jeff Levy, obviously, they've got a guy. I think they've got a guy. He played good against Tennessee, at least in the first half.
They've got Van Buren. Arkansas's got
Van Buren.
they've got
Taylor Green. I mixed up those two. I'm so sorry. But, I guess just, the coaches or the offenses, I guess, that I was kind of going around is, they're going through a quarterback change of some sort. Are they going to be able to build around that? Because obviously there's so much pressure on a quarterback in the college game that if you don't have the guy at quarterback, Tennessee's going to learn this year. If you don't have that guy, the signal caller, it really uncovers all the other issues you've got on the team.
Yeah, so I have 2 more. Now, these are teetering on tier 2, tier 3. I'm not really concerned about them.
Kirby Smart.
No, not Kirby.
Well, I mean, he's not really made the championship game here in the last couple of years.
So the first one is Hugh Freeze.
What?
If he,
I can see that.
Well, that's why I say tier 2, tier 3. He's teetering on that line because he's gone 6-6 in the last 2 seasons. He's had 2 bad losses.
We're gonna have to stop the show. 1, Texas guy in the chat, but 2, he's like being nice for some reason. Texas fan here. I think Tennessee will end up 10-2 and in the 10-15 college football bubble even after Aguilar. What do you want? I mean,
I
you
could
want me to
see
Venmo
it.
you? Like what? Like I don't know. Like I can't. I don't have a lot, brother. I've got maybe $2 in the account, but like by God, you're supposed to be like I'm giving you entertainment. What do you? No, dude. I appreciate it, and I really appreciate the realism there and the expectations. I don't know, man. We'll see. Tennessee's. I said we'll learn because if Aguilar's that guy and Josh Heupel can build him up, man, I'm huge. I'm stoked. But if he's not that guy, we have a redshirt freshman and a true freshman in behind him, and that's it. Tennessee's going to learn how good the rest of the team is. That's kind of like the point I was trying to make. You have a team that doesn't have a good quarterback. It can really uncover. I mean, think of like 2016 Tennessee. I know you're a Texas fan, but like think of 2016 team Tennessee without Josh Dobbs.
Probably go 7-5 or worse.
I mean, you still had Alvin Kamara, but dude, you had to have Josh Dobbs to unlock Alvin Kamara. You had to have the quarterback run game too, right? And so it's like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Hendon Hooker, dude. Without Hendon Hooker, we're not 11-2 at the end of the year. I mean, I know we beat Clemson without him, but like in my opinion, you don't unlock the rest of your offense without having a guy that can truly not just take control, but be able to make those off-script plays and be mature enough to do that. And that's something Hendon Hooker was so good at. Josh Dobbs was so good at. And
yeah,
I'm hoping Aguilar.
Yeah, so Hugh Freeze for me, he's gone 6-6 the last 2 seasons. Had 2 bad losses in each of the years. He hasn't really had a quarterback in my opinion. Peyton Thorne, he was just a guy that was out there filling the quarterback position. You got Jackson Arnold now, so you've got a quarterback there that is capable. You've also got talent around him on the offensive side of the ball, and you've got a pretty decent defense too. This is the year that Auburn needs to have that at least 8-4 type season and try to upset a couple folks. So if it doesn't happen this year, then I think next year he's more on that hot seat. But I think Auburn is still content with having him through this season, and then next year is your show me season. Now the other one on my list of that tier 2, tier 3, it is Josh Heupel, because you just let Nico walk after that whole situation. Granted, you had to, in my opinion, you had to let him walk because no person is bigger than the team. But you've also put yourself in a position where you let him walk, you'll get Joey Aguilar, and you've also got Merklinger and you've got McIntyre in the background. If Tennessee falls to 8-4, 7-5 this season, then he's going to have a target on his back going in the next season of, all right, you got to show me something now, or do we have to move on to somebody else because you just have not had that success that you were planning on with these talented quarterbacks? That's why I've got Josh Heupel in the tier 2, tier 3, that transition.
Josh Heupel ain't getting fired, period. Not even next year.
No, I don't think so either, because I think Tennessee's going to have success. But
well, I mean, Josh Heupel's worst year, his first year, and was basically our best year in the first 15 years or the last 15 years. So, I mean, I'm not worried. Even if we have a down year, I don't think Josh Heupel is gone. Like, just period. I don't think so. But I did find out Saturday Down South ranked their coaches in the SEC. Are you interested?
I'm interested.
You want to take a guess at who they got at 16?
16's Jeff Lebby.
I like to throw myself a bone on that because I do think that that's accurate.
Yep.
15.
Clark Lee.
Hugh Freeze.
That's
so
fair.
give yourself a bone because you mentioned him. I'm going to throw myself a bone because you absolutely thought I was crazy. But Brent Venables comes in at 14.
I didn't think you were crazy. I just had
him. You did. You're kind of like...
I had him in that transition.
No, I got you. So Brent Venables comes in at 14.
13's got to be Mark Stoops.
Sam Pittman.
Okay.
So overall, we're pretty accurate, but we both missed on 2 wildly, but it's fine. Everybody knows mine, so it's fine. 12 is Clark Lee. 11, Billy Napier. Mark Stoops getting some love here. Mike Elko comes in at 10, which I think is fucking...
There is no way that they have Mike Elko ranked lower than Mark Stoops on this list.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
By 1, Mark Stoops is at 9. Yep. This is Saturday Down South, bro. This is a legit... I mean, this is crazy, but Mark Stoops comes in at 9. Shane Beamer at 8. Eli Drinks at 7. Lane Kiffin at 6. Josh Heupel at 5.
You know what? I'm glad to finally see a list that puts Heupel over Kiffin because I feel like
he deserves to be over Kiffin.
over Kiffin. Yes.
He absolutely deserves to be over Kiffin. And the only reason I think they weren't is because Kiffin beat Heupel in year 1 under Heupel. And because of that, they were like, Kiffin's better. And I'm like,
Yeah,
no, like
but I mean,
Kiffin's
how many lists have we seen that have had Kiffin over Heupel? And they've been like back to back. It's been
yep.
Heupel then Kiffin.
But
I'm so glad.
here's where
to
I
see.
think it gets crazy. All right, so you truly think Brian Kelly's got a lot of pressure on him? I
Yes.
think he does too. He comes in at number 4. And the
Okay.
coach that I think has probably the most pressure on them as far as like championship type odds is Kalen DeBoer, and he comes in at 3. And I just maybe he is that good of a coach, but I'm telling you right now, Alabama, and I could be wrong. I've got a lot of friends in my Facebook that's going to watch this, and I'm serious. If they go 9-3 or worse, that dude is legitimately getting threatened and fired. And I know the fan base is going to be calling for it. It's going to be the administration, obviously, that makes the decision at the end of the day. But how do you fight it? Right? When Danny White says the inevitable, like, might as well just pull the plug now, rip the Band-Aid off. If you've got your fan base coming at you at 9-3 and you lose to Tennessee again, and especially at home or something like that crazy, Kalen DeBoer is going to have a very uncomfortable seat.
So, do you think maybe these rankings are just based off of like
Steve
on the field
Stark,
success and
Steve
stuff like
Stark at
that?
2 and Kirby Smart at 1. No, because in that case, Josh Heupel would be above Kalen DeBoer and stuff like that, in my opinion. Maybe not because Kalen DeBoer went to the
Kalen DeBoer
playoff
went. Yeah, Kalen DeBoer
with
went to the
Washington.
playoffs and went to a national title game.
But what has Brian Kelly done? Went to playoffs with Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
all
not
right,
playoffs, but
yeah,
championship game.
he went to the championship game with Notre Dame. So I guess it's overall like tenure, their success and all that. Now, if
It's
it's
gonna
what
be an
if it's
all inclusive, right? It's gonna be like if you had a head coaching search, this is their list on like who's gonna be the best, right?
so this right here is just a list of the best coaches in the SEC. This is not SEC coaching power rankings. If it was the power rankings, which is what you've done for me lately, this would be a totally different list.
Maybe.
I mean, I would put. Okay, I'm not going to go that far. I was
Yeah,
going to say I would put Sark over Kirby because of last season's success,
absolutely not.
but
Absolutely
Kirby
not.
did beat him twice. It was just the
Yeah,
fact that Texas
absolutely
made
not.
it further.
Don't go crazy on me here.